President Joe Biden shut down Peter Doocy during a recent interaction that I want to show you. Peter Doocy, of course, being the Fox News reporter, he walks up and asks President Biden a question, but in the question is a big fat lie, and Biden calls that out and then calls it a lousy question. And we'll dive into the specifics of why the question is indeed lousy after this.
There's this testimony now where one of your son's former business associates is claiming that you were on speakerphone a lot with them talking business. Is that what?
I never talk business to anyone. And I know you'd have a lousy question.
Well, why is that a lousy question?
Because it's not true.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Because it's not true is the case. He's referencing the testimony of Devon Archer. When he says the testimony, he's talking about Devon Archer, the former business associate of Hunter Biden. And Devon Archer appeared in front of the House Oversight Committee in a closed-door meeting. Then we got the transcript released from that closed-door meeting. And in it, Devon Archer's asked about phone calls between President Biden and Hunter Biden, or at this time it was Vice President Biden, and even before that when he was senator, and all of it. And Devon Archer talks about, again, the former business associate of Hunter Biden, the fact that especially after Beau Biden passed away and throughout the course of quite a large period of time, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were on the phone very, very often, even daily. And over the course of a decade, around 20 times was the estimate, if Hunter Biden, when that call occurred, was in a space with other business associates, would obviously, to impress them, put Biden on speakerphone. But the question was, did Biden then talk about business? I should say Joe Biden. They're both Biden. But did Joe Biden talk about business with Hunter Biden's business associates? And Devon Archer specifically, despite Doocy's claim to the contrary, said no, he had never observed or witnessed business come up, and said it was small talk, as this transcript will outline. Actually, just randomly on a funny note, I printed out, for the sake of pizzazz, this transcript so I could, read it, make points, slap down the papers, but you probably like it on screen better, so gave up on that idea. Okay, a question. The conversation was about the weather, meaning if Biden was put on speakerphone, the times that happened, and there were business associates that were engaging with him, what was the subject matter? A, the weather and niceties. The weather and niceties. Again, reminder that Peter Doocy said that this testimony showed Joe Biden talking about business with Hunter Biden's business associates. All of it, as it goes for any of there was never a discussion of cap tables, and that was not the purpose of the calls. I'll just read it directly like that. Question, but beyond cap tables, there wasn't any conversation of, you need to help me with this business I have with these people, or you need to take this action or that action to help these business partners of mine. Answer, correct. Question, that never happened. Answer, that did not happen. Okay, very clear. Weather and niceties. And then, so based on your knowledge and experience, you have no evidence that would contradict any of these conclusions I just read, meaning Biden being in on, a part of, in the know about Hunter Biden's business dealings. Answer, no. Question, the report also found, quote, no evidence that any action of the U.S. government or any U.S. official was taken to benefit Burisma or Hunter Biden. Do you have any evidence or knowledge that contradicts the conclusion? Answer, no. And it goes on and on and on. By the way, on the subject of Victor Shokin, question, but so do you have any basis to believe that Vice President Biden's call for Shokin's removal was driven by anything other than the U.S. government's anti-corruption policy in Ukraine? Answer, yeah, I have no proof or thought that he fired him for that reason. Question, you have no reason to believe otherwise. Answer, I have no reason to believe. And that's, of course, referencing the firing of the top prosecutor in Ukraine that Biden was pushing for being fired, Victor Shokin. And the narrative right now within the right wing, or those making these accusations, is Biden pushed for the firing of Victor Shokin because Victor Shokin was causing problems for Burisma, the company that Hunter Biden worked at. But a few things on that just completely dismantle it. The first being that was in line with the broader U.S. government stance on corruption in Ukraine, and that was in line with our European allies' stance on that prosecutor Victor Shokin. And as Devon Archer, the person referenced by all these conservatives or all those making the accusations against Biden on this subject, said in this testimony, they actually wanted Viktor Shokin in that position because Viktor Shokin was soft on Burisma and was keeping their investigation shelved. Even though technically he was overseeing it, there was no serious attempt to hold Burisma to account. And so Biden is supposed to have, based on the evidence we have now, based on the witness that Republicans called, been doing the thing that his son's company didn't want to happen and getting paid for it by the son's company. It doesn't make any sense. It's completely and totally ridiculous. Now, I do want to compare this to the Trump family. And just kind of to lay out a quick premise for this. Calling out hypocrisy is not by itself an argument. For example, whenever people say, when you ask them about Trump's legal troubles, well, what about Biden? Even if everything they accuse Biden of was true, that doesn't mean that Trump didn't do the things that he did, right? Now, it's even more outrageous whenever they do a whataboutism about something that's not even comparable and is not even based in fact, which is usually the whataboutism we get from those within the right wing about Biden. And so here, I'm not saying that Biden isn't guilty of wrongdoing because Trump did a bunch of stuff. I'm saying after we walked through the details of why Biden, at least there's not evidence for him doing the things that right now he's being accused of, got that out of the way. Now let's also talk about the hypocrisy side of this. And so while hypocrisy and whataboutism is not an argument by itself, it can be a useful way to point out dishonesty after specifically going through the individual allegation by itself, which we just did. So this is from Open Secrets. They're very up in arms about evidence-free allegations about Biden and his son benefiting from his position, all of that, which no one denies. Obviously, Hunter Biden got better positions because he had a prominent name, but actually direct pay to play, as they say. Open Secrets reports about Trump. Trump made more than $200 million from foreign business interests since 2016. So while he was president, they have no direct payments to Joe Biden. And they don't have any payments that you can link to some influence to Biden that went to his family. They haven't made that link. That's the big story right now. But then, and as I just referenced, it doesn't even make sense for the actions that they're pointing to as being the ones that Biden may have been influenced on. But here you have $200 million going to Trump himself from foreign business interests since 2016. Okay, Forbes reports. Forbes estimates China paid Trump at least $5.4 million since he took office via mysterious Trump Tower lease. Anyone? James Comer? What you thinking? And then moving to his children or children-in-laws, 6 months after leaving the White House, as the New York Times reports, Jared Kushner secured a $2 billion investment from a fund led by the Saudi Crown Prince, a close ally during the Trump administration, despite objections from the fund's advisors about the merits of the deal. But based on the connections to the Saudi Crown Prince, it went through, is the prediction there. And actually, Chris Christie called this out during a recent town hall moment.
Why would you send Jared Kushner to the Middle East when you have Rex Tillerson and Mike Pompeo as secretaries of state? Two incredibly accomplished men. You send him. Why? We found out the answer 6 months after he left office. $2 billion.
Cashing in on those relationships, absolutely. Then you have this from Forbes. The Chinese government granted a total of 41 trademarks to companies linked to Ivanka Trump by April of 2019. And the trademarks she applied for after, listen to this, I know we've gone over it in the past, but the trademarks she applied for after her father became president got approved about 40% faster than those she requested before Donald Trump's victory in the 2016 election, according to a new book by Forbes' senior editor, Dan Alexander. And then this from The Guardian. Ivanka Trump's fashion and homewares business received initial approval from the Chinese government for 5 trademark applications days before her father announced a U-turn in policy on ZTE, a Chinese telecoms firm that has admitted breaking U.S. sanctions on Iran and North Korea. I state again, that is not to say, so just because Trump's family benefited, it's not wrong if you could prove that something wrong went on with Biden. Two separate things. And as I previously mentioned, the nepotism that goes on, the fact that some of this can be done completely within the law where you just benefit because of your last name, because of your connections, is definitely applicable to Hunter Biden. I definitely know, based on some of this testimony as well, that he was benefiting from his bougie or well-known last name, and that gave him a better situation in business for sure. But Joe Biden has to be judged based on his actions, if he participated, if he benefited in some corrupt way. And it's interesting, if nothing else, and it is an example of dishonesty, that people are very upset about what we just walked through with Biden, based on a whole lot of dishonesty, even building the narrative around Biden, and not upset whatsoever about Trump himself benefiting, and definitely his children as well, very directly from his position as president. So follow the facts on these things, call out dishonesty where you can. That's really all we can do. And thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.